Hello, sewing enthusiasts. Welcome back to the channel where we turn fabric into magic and sewing machines into our besties. Today, we're making something fabulous and functional. The tidy stash trays, no buttons, no snaps, no hardware. Just you, your sewing machine, and some basic supplies. How cool is that? So grab your fabric stash. We're about to tidy it up anyway. And let's jump right into it. Before we dive into the tremendous, oh, did I just say tremendous fun? Here's what you will need for any version of these trays. You need your fabric, your tools, double-sided tape, which is optional, and of course your sewing machine and matching thread. Simple, right? So there are three types of tidy stash trays, and I'll be mentioning them right away. There's the no fuss vinyl or leather tray. This one is made from soft vinyl or leather and requires zero interfacing. It's perfect for those moments when you want minimal effort with maximum chic. The material does the heavy lifting, giving the tray natural structure and style. Second one is the classic cotton tray. This one is made with regular cotton or lightweight fabrics. We're going to give it a little boost. The exterior is fused with fusible fleece and the interior gets medium weight interfacing. This one is a crowd pleaser. It's functional, structured, and still lightweight. So it means that you can still use your regular cotton, make this tray without having to, dive into the world of leather and all those um, heavyweight fabrics if you're not ready for that. Next is the heavyweight hero. This one is built with thick materials like cork, thick leather, or heavy vinyl. No interfacing needed because the material speaks for itself. Think raw edges, sleek lines, and a bold personality. Excited? Let's tackle them one by one. Then we need our tools, our ruler. Next, our scissors. You need a very sharp scissors, especially for the third version. You need your fabric marker, very important as well. You need your double-sided tape, very important too. You need your matching thread. I cannot overemphasize this. And then some clips. Ready? Let's go. First, we're going to be making the tray type 1. And this is our no fuss vinyl or leather tray. This is also the large size and it measures 12 inches wide by 12 inches high. That is 30.5 centimeters for my metric frames. So we're going to be tapering all the four corners. So what we're doing is we're going to be measuring 2 inches in and 3 inches down on all the four corners. And this is 5 centimeters for metric frames. We're going to be measuring this from each edge. Then we're going to be drawing diagonal lines to connect the marks. When we're done, we would use our scissors to cut along these lines, and we have tapered corners. Now, when we're done with this, so don't forget you're doing this for the exterior and the interior. Once it's done, the next thing is to layer our fabric. And what we're doing here is that we're placing the exterior and interior pieces right sides together. Once done, clip them in place like you're giving them a hug. Then you're going to be sewing this up. So as soon as clipping is done, you're going to head to your sewing machine and you're going to be stitching around the edges with a 3/8 of an inch sewing allowance. Make sure you leave a 6-inch gap. This is 15 centimeters for turning. As soon as this is done, we're going to be trimming with a sharp scissors. We're going to be trimming the seam allowance to about 1/4 of an inch for less bulk. But before we do that, I yeah, would recommend folding your seam allowance. Remember, we're using leather vinyl, so we're going to be folding our seam allowance since we cannot press this at with a hot iron. So I've gone ahead to apply double-sided tape just above, or should I say under, that sewing allowance, and I'm going to remove the backing of this double-sided tape and fold my seam allowance towards the double-sided tape. So as soon as we're done folding our sewing allowance, we're going to be turning this tray right side out. So I've done for the first one. I'm removing the backing of double-sided tape for the other side of the tray. And then we're going to be trimming our seam allowance to a quarter of an inch. This is 6 millimeters for less bulk. Then we're going to be turning this tray right side up. Make sure you turn carefully so you do not put your leather or your vinyl in harm's way. Turn carefully and make sure to poke the corners gently with a blunt tool. Using the blunt part of my scissors to do this. So since we cannot press with a hot iron, just going to press with your fingers, and you're going to be clipping the gap in place and take to the sewing machine to top stitch around the edges whilst we close the gap. Now that we're done, we're going to be forming the corners by bringing the tapered edges together to form those corners. Okay, so now before we do that, make sure you know which part you want to use. Determine which part you want to use as your exterior and the part you want to use as your interior. So the interior will be where the items will go into, the exterior will be the one that will be. So for this particular piece, I've decided to make this part my interior, while the silvery part will be my exterior. So when you have determined your interior and your exterior, make sure your interior is right side facing you or facing up. Then you're now going to bring the tapered edges together in each of the corners, form this corner, and then you clip in place. You repeat for the other side. Make sure those angles of the tapered corners match or align, then clip in place. Now you're going to be top stitching along the top stitch lines that you created earlier. You just do that all the way. Yeah, so you're going to do that round all the corners. When you're done, trim any stray threads, and just like that, your no for stray is done. This one is actually large enough to hold your sewing tools, yet elegant enough to grace any space. You can use this anywhere at all. Anywhere at all. You can use it in the office, just anywhere at all. It's actually large enough. And that's it. As soon as you're done trimming stray threads, you can go ahead to arrange your tray. Make sure it fits nicely. Just arrange it properly. Make sure it's sitting nicely. and you're practically done. Next up, we're going to move on to the classic cutting tray, and this will be tray type 2. As you can see, I've gone ahead to put some items in my large tray, and it's just sitting pretty there. This classic cotton tray that I'm moving on to is perfect for adding a pop of color to your desk or vanity. This one is actually the medium size, and it measures 10 inches wide by 10 inches high, and this is 25 centimeters for my metric friends. This is a bit different from what we had earlier, because you're going to be cutting your exterior and interior at 10 inches by 10 inches, while you cut your fusible fleece at 9 inches by 9 inches. Next up, we're going to be tapering our corners just like we did with the first version. So the exterior and the interior will be tapered at 1 3/4, 1 3/4 of an inch on all the corners, and this is 4.5 centimeters for my metric friends. So you're going to be doing this with just the exterior and the interior. Remember, we still have the fleece. We're not doing the same with the fleece. And then remember, the fleece measures 9 inches wide by 9 inches high. So when you're done tapering the corners of both exterior and interior, you're going to cut along those diagonal lines. And for our fleece, we're tapering our corners at 1.25 of an inch. This is 3 centimeters for my metric friends. 1.25 of an inch, and then you're going to cut along those lines. Next up, you're going to be fusing the fleece to the wrong side of the exterior piece. Then, just like we did with the first one, we're going to be layering the pieces right sides together, and then you're going to clip in place, after which you'll be sewing them up. When you're done stitching, you're going to be stitching, when you're done clipping, you're going to be stitching around this with a 3/8 of an inch sewing allowance, leaving a 4.5 inch gap. This is 11.5 centimeters. Then you're going to be trimming the sewing allowance to about 1/4 of an inch from the edge, after which you're going to fold the seam allowance. This time around, we can press this with a hot iron or a heat press. Then you're going to turn right side out. After turning the right side out, you're going to poke the corners with a blunt tool, just like we did with the first version. Poke the corners so that they come out nice, and then you can press with a hot iron. Next up, we're going to be top stitching this piece. First, you're going to clip the gap so it's closed, and then you're going to be top stitching around the edges, thereby closing the gap. Top stitching done. Just like we did with the first version, we're going to be pressing the corners together. So we're pressing the corners so that the angles of the tapered edge or corner meet or align. You'll be repeating this with the other 3 corners or edges. Once this is done, just like we did earlier, we're going to be top stitching the angles. Now take this to your sewing machine and top stitch the angles like we did with the large version. And there you go. Our medium tray sitting pretty, looking nice, well top stitched, and well done. And this is the medium size, the colorful structured tray that is ready to brighten up your day. Next up, we're going to be making tray type 3, and this is the heavyweight tray. This is a small size and it measures 7.5 inches wide by 7.5 inches high. This is 19 centimeters for my metric friends. This is a little different but similar in a few ways. We're going to see differences and similarities shortly. We're going to be marking our corners as usual. This time around, we're tapering our corners by marking 1.5 inches on all the corners, all the edges, all the sides. So we're marking 1.5 inches, and this is 4 centimeters for my metric friends. Then we're going to be connecting the marks with diagonal lines, just exactly like we did before. And this time around, we're going to be layering our pieces as well, but they will go wrong sides together. Yes, you heard that right. Wrong sides together. Like I said, this one is actually a raw edge version. So we're going to place them on each other, wrong sides this time around together, to make things easier, and so that things are not shifting around. I have opted to use double-sided tape. So I'm going to have to layer them on each other, wrong sides together. And just like before, or no, not like before actually, we're going to be stitching, or maybe this time I will say top stitching. So meaning that your stitches have to be extra clean, because we're not turning anything this time around. We're going to be top stitching at 3/8 of an inch from the edge. This time around, we're not leaving any gap. So when we're done top stitching, we're going to trim straight threads, and we're going to be trimming the seam allowance neatly to 1/8 of an inch from the edge. Make sure you're using a very sharp scissors here, because we're going raw edge. So please keep it as neat as possible. Next, like we've always done, we're going to form the corners. Make sure you determine which parts you want to use as your exterior and which parts you want to use as your interior. I'm using this blue part as my interior, and so my interior will be right side facing up. Now you're going to press the tapered edges together to form the corners. Just make sure the angles meet and you're good to go. Clip in place, and like we've always done, top stitch along the top stitch line that we created earlier. And there you have it again, a tray with raw edge drama that is as tough as it looks. Oh, How cool is that? Everything just went on smoothly, no drama, no force. Everything is just looking nice and clean. And this is our small size. You can replicate this version on any of the other sizes. So even though I'm showing you sizes, I'm also showing you different versions. And there you have it, guys. Three fabulous versions and sizes of the tidy stash trays. Ready to tame your workspace skills. Use them for sewing supplies. You can use them for office beats or even snacks. Don't worry, I won't judge. If you enjoyed the tutorial, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a stitch. Let me know in the comments which tray you're making first, or share your photos with me on Instagram. I can't wait to see your creations. Until next time, happy sewing, everyone. Bye.